I just wanted to thank everyone for joining us today to help celebrate this year's Emirati Women's Day. My name is Sam, in case anyone doesn't know that's attending. I head Emiratisation here at Michael Page, and I'm joined today by Jouhayna AlMheiri and Fatima Qubaisi. And we're going to be talking today around their career successes, their advice to you, and just to celebrate this year's Emirati Women's Day. Okay, so just a quick introduction from my end, very quick. I'm not the star of the show today. So as I said, I head Emiratisation here at Michael Page. So me working within Emiratisation means that I support UAE nationals make and find their next career move from graduate level to senior level. And then on the flip side, I help organizations hire Emirati talent across all head office functions. So I've been really lucky enough to make a really good work network actually across the UAE so far. And some genuine friendships actually within the Emirati community. And I'm going to laugh as I say this because I know some of you are here today. So thank you for attending and for your ongoing support. I really, really do appreciate it. I was keen to host this event today to celebrate Emirati Women's Day, firstly. Secondly, to my connections and your ongoing support. And thirdly, our audience today. I know you guys are from a variety of backgrounds, nationalities, gender. You know, the three of us were really keen to keep this event fully inclusive, with really the goal for us all to unite with the common goal to support women, make you feel hopefully empowered, inspired, and ambitious, whether that's around your career goals or your personal life. So this event is for you guys too. So as I mentioned earlier, I am really over the moon to be joined by Fatima and Jouhayna today. During my conversation now, if you have any questions you yourselves that you'd like to position to Jouhayna or Fatima, there's a Q&A bottom at the bottom of this screen in the Zoom panel. Okay, so feel free to type your questions in and we'll cover these at the end of the webinar. And just to confirm, there's a Q&A button, which you can type your questions in, which you can personalize to be anonymous, or there's a chat function button, which will be visible to all. So your preference, but don't be shy. Please do ask the questions. Anyway, so moving on. So Jouhayna and Fatima are going to be introducing each other, which is a nice little twist. So Fatima, please, over to you to introduce Jouhayna to us.
Thank you so much, Sam. So hello, everyone, and welcome to Emirati Women's Day. It's an honor to have you here today, and it's an honor to speak with you today. So Jouhayna and I are actually close friends. We met about over a year ago on Instagram, and I just completely loved her energy. And she's one of, honestly, the nicest and coolest people I personally know. Jouhayna is one of just 10 Emirati women who is an air traffic controller. She's only one of 10 to have this job. And if you're wondering what air traffic controlling is, it's basically, she's Google Maps for pilots in the skies. And if you want to know her Instagram, she's voiced in a pilot's headset, because that's in fact what she does. She's also an on-the-job training instructor, and she loves teaching the next generation of air traffic controllers. So Jouhayna has a very unique name, and her name means the beginning of new things. And definitely meeting her, that's how I felt. It's the beginning of a new era. She's also, so you know a little bit more about her personality, she loves art, but not just seeing it, she actually creates art. She has a page called Scribbles by Joe, and it's inspirational. So if you're looking for something to put up in your living room, I would recommend it. She loves plants and dogs, and she has a very, very green thumb. So any plant I would kill, she would rescue. So over to you, Jouhayna.
Thank you so much, Fatima. Like, my insides are just so happy. I feel very warm. Thank you. As Fatima has mentioned, we have known each other for almost a year now, and our friendship has grown so much. And that's why I do like this little twist where we choose to introduce one another, because, you know, she's a strong, successful woman. And I remember when we sat down, I felt like I've known you for years and years. And we just caught up over schnitzel, her favorite dish, which I didn't even know it was the case, but I ordered it and I was like, oh, do you want schnitzel? And she's like, that's my favorite dish. And I had no clue. So that was amazing. Fatma never abides to the status quo. That is Fatma. She makes her own path. And she is known to be the first Emirati woman who went to Harvard Law School, but she's so much more than that. She has a massive heart. She's a good listener. And these two complementing qualities allow her to be a role model to young people. And Fatma's theory in life is to be a lifelong learner. And I understand this completely. We're always busy learning something new, doing something different. And it's very important to do that, because you always need to strive to better yourself. And that's what you do. And Fatma works so hard to be able to give back to the community as much as she can. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you both for the introductions. I am really keen to push on, if you guys are happy, just to start our interview now. So I'll begin with our first question. So the late Sheikh Zayed, father of the nation, said, "Nothing makes me happier than seeing a woman take their exceptional roles in society, and nothing must obstruct their advancement." Why do you think it's important to celebrate Emirati Women's Day today?
So I used to joke that Emirati Women's Day was picked specifically in August because it was very, very clever. So I used to say that basically it's in the summer because it's so hot here, so everyone's abroad. So I always make certain I'm in the country for Emirati Women's Day because I want to plot and plan for the year ahead. But now, thanks to COVID, you're all here to plot and plan with us and to achieve future success. So I think it's important to celebrate how far we've come, and in such little time, 50 years, and the obstacles we've overcome along the way. We tend to talk about Emirati women being an integral part of society now. However, we've always been an integral part of society and the workforce. If we think about our forefathers back in the day, when our great grandparents were pearl divers, what happened is that the women would take over. They would be in charge of the community for up to 3 to 4 months. So when people say that as Emirati women, how do you define yourselves? I think we're strong. I think we're capable of anything. I think we're worthy. We're able to take the lead, and it is in our very nature to lead. Over to you, Jouhayna.
Thank you, Fatma. As Fatma has mentioned, we women have been an integral part of society from day one. And Emirati Women's Day is very important to celebrate because it's an opportunity for us to recognize the accomplishments the daughter of Zayed have made and how we have actually grown with the nation. The theme of this year's Emirati Women's Day is women, ambitions and inspirations for the next 50 years. And I feel it's very important to revel in this moment and acknowledge how far we've come, not just the women, but the whole country as a whole. And also keep in mind that we must think about how we will empower our future generations and keep this momentum going. A quote from Her Highness Sheikha Fatima bint Mubarak: "Women are not only half the society, but they are the mothers and educators that shape the society." Let that sink in. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you both. I really appreciate it. Okay, so this is one of my favorite questions, I have to say, because we have our first Emirati female mechanic, chef, Harvard Law graduate. Fatima, I know your cousins who have really kindly joined us today are the first Emirati women to race and win in Formula 3, representing the UAE. Hashtag drive like a girl. Jouhayna, you are one of the top Emirati women in the air traffic control space. Amazing, and that statement in itself, incredible. So was it always your ambitions growing up to pursue a career in your line of work? And in your opinion, why is it important more women, pursue a career within these fields and your industry specifically? Fatima.
Thank you, Sam. So for me, I've known I wanted to be a lawyer, I think since I was 12 years old. I watched Legally Blonde. I watched a lot of legal shows, and I adored it. I also participated in the Model United Nations at school, and I founded our school's debate club. So once I started getting into negotiations and debating, I was like, I want to do this for a living. I can get paid to do this, and it just felt right. So growing up, I was told no a lot. And regardless, I still persisted. I'm here today to stand for the endless possibilities that we as women in the UAE have before us. So it's very important to pursue careers in everything and anything. As you said, the first mechanic, the first chef. And it's important that we don't just hold this against other women. I'm the first. No, help other women become like you. So I get very excited when young people reach out and they want to be lawyers, regardless in which region they are. I think it's so exciting. So I think it's important that we pursue careers in everything and anything, because we truly can do anything, and we can do it in heels. So I believe in the capabilities of the people in the UAE, regardless where they're from. We will keep pushing boundaries, we will keep breaking records, and we will keep making our mark in history. The reason that I'm the first Emirati woman who went to Harvard Law School is only because the country is so young. And I look forward to many, many more people doing things for the first time in the country. So when I did my bachelor's, I was the first Emirati woman to graduate from my undergrad, basically. When I joined my first company, I was the first Emirati female lawyer to work there. Now that's not the case. Things change so fast. And sometimes you realize that a lot of doors are closed in your face, but that's okay. If there isn't a door, there's a window. You just need to look. So when graduating from Harvard, it was symbolic, because not only was it the year that the first Emirati woman graduated from Harvard Law School, it was also coincidentally, it was their bicentennial year. And it was the first year, and I think that this is very symbolic. It was the first year that women, the graduating class, were 50%. It only took them 200 years.
That's amazing. I love all the facts. So unlike Fatima, I actually had absolutely no idea what I wanted to do with myself. I was consistently told, oh, she has so much potential, she communicates well. Yeah, but like, where's that going to get me? So I was pretty lost towards my last years in high school. Everyone was applying to universities and they knew what they wanted to do, and I didn't. So it led me to take a forced gap year. And in that time, I worked with my mother at her veterinary clinic. I loved it, but it wasn't for me to continue in the family business. It just wasn't it. But one thing that I did know is I wanted to be independent, and I did not want to rely on my parents financially. I wanted to move out. I wanted to do my thing. And thankfully, my parents are quite open-minded, and they told me, they're like, if you can find something and stand on your own 2 feet, go for it. So I applied to many scholarship programs, and at the time, air traffic control did stand out to me. And a decade later, almost, here we are. And as for the second part of your question, Samantha, why is it important for women to take up air traffic control? Well, it keeps me going because no day is the same, absolutely none. And for the adrenaline junkies out there, it's like an adrenaline rush sat down. Like, it's great, especially when you're handling everything and you are in full control of everything. Also, let's break the stereotypes. It is a very male-dominated field, not only in the UAE, but all over the world, air traffic control, but it's definitely a job a woman can handle. And regardless of your gender, you need to be good at it. You need to operate at 100%. So it doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman. And I am proof you can do it as well as anybody else can. Women should join the industry because it's important to change the culture, and then it will also become more inclusive as well. So it is important for women in general to contribute to the society, to be economically independent, and to have financial independence. So why shouldn't air traffic control be one of the jobs to apply for and go for? If I can do it, she can do it. Thank you.
Oh, I love that, Jouhayna. I love both answers. Okay, so this probably follows on quite nicely then. So who have been your role models, you know, your inspirations, career mentors, and in your personal life? Fatima, please.
Yes, I really love this question. So for me personally, two of my biggest role models and biggest inspirations are Sheikha Fatima, Her Highness, Sheikha Fatima bint Mubarak, Mother of the Nation, and my grandmother. So Sheikha Fatima played a big role when I was growing up. When I was a little girl, I went to Sheikh Zayed Private Academy, and in that school, we actually organized a graduation. So I had the honor of reciting a poem when I was maybe 12 years old. And my grandmother had written the poem. And I still remember it to this very day. That's how significant that poem is to me. And I didn't speak Arabic until I was 10 years old. And so for me, memorizing a poem in Arabic and reciting it was a big deal. I had to understand it. I wanted to know what it meant. I wanted to make sure she felt it came from the heart. And so I was told, you know, at 12, to stand on this giant stage and to look in the first row and to look at her and to say the poem. And I remember thinking, okay, I can do this. And I stood on this big stage and I looked into the audience. And I remember looking in the first row and I panicked. I thought, I don't know which one I should be looking at. Like, I don't know who she is. And then I felt someone looking at me with warmth and with kind eyes. And I just knew it was her. And I said the poem. And when I got off the stage, people asked me, how did you know? She wasn't sitting in the center. How did you know where to look? And I told them, I just felt it. And she played such a big part of my education. She instilled in me the love of learning. So when I was younger, we had all these competitions, and I was a very competitive kid. But she taught me competition isn't how we think it is. It isn't me against my classmates. It never was. It was always me against myself. So her reading competition, for example, which I signed up for, would be, can you read, 30 books, 60 books, 90 books? And it would always encourage you to do better than you did the year before. And that's really how I've lived my life. It's not me against others. It's me against myself from before. Can I drink more water today? Can I exercise more? Can I do better? And that's really it. So her competitions also were not only about academics. She taught us how to be a wholesome person. She wanted us to care about the environment. She wanted us to contribute positively towards the community. She cared about how relationships are with each other. And that we really felt that. And as a young kid, I think relationships are so important. They teach us that grades matter the most of everything. That grades aren't what gets you that job interview and what opened doors. So my other role model would have to be my grandmother, one of the strongest and independent women I know. So I'm going to tell you one of my favorite things she told me when I was growing up. When she was little, she would make her own clothes like they did back in the day. And I think sometimes we forget where we've come from. It's so important to remind ourselves. And she wanted to put a pocket onto her jalabia. So she was sewing on a pocket and people were outraged. Ah, how dare you? We don't do pockets. Pockets are for men. You can't have a pocket. I'm sorry. And society refused to accept the pocket. And yet she stuck to it. She sewed on the pocket. And until this very day, all her clothes have pockets in them. So ask yourself and the fashion industry if you are worthy of pockets. But I think it's something so simple. And that story always stuck with me. Every time I faced a hardship, every time I heard no again, I would think of the pockets and of my grandmother sewing them on anyway. Thank you.
I love it. You told me the story when we first met, and till now it makes me smile. I love it so much about your grandmother. So for my role models and inspirations in my career as well as in my personal life, before I get into that, I want to note what's important, and it's very important to build a professional network of mentors and sponsors and friends as well. And unfortunately, with what I've noticed in my career is that women tend to isolate themselves instead of put themselves out there and band together as a group. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to provide a platform where I'll be co-hosting a female virtual majlis with one of my mentors, Christina from Top of Her Game. She has helped me with my public speaking and she's been amazing. And this is the way I want to help women find their voice and just band together and work together. Especially now with COVID, many jobs have been lost. So hopefully if we all band together, we can all help each other in different aspects of our lives. And when it comes to another mentor from my career, after I finished air traffic control and I was getting out there and speaking to people, Miss Mervat Sultan, who is the Women in Aviation Middle East chapter president, she gave me that initial group of women that helped me network and get to know about the different things and how I'm going to pursue my education further. But specifically, Miss Mervat has pushed me to do public speaking. And believe it or not, I actually used to be a bundle of nerves. And then she put me on stage and made me MC an event for her only a few months ago. And I absolutely loved it. So she's constantly pushing my boundaries and making me do different things outside of the aviation industry and making me use my voice to help encourage other people. And I love it. Also at work, from day one, anybody that I turned to that I asked a question, and I repeated my questions a lot because I'm a very curious person, everyone helped me in my work building. And in my personal life, there are 3 women, and all of them have a pioneering spirit. These women are well ahead of their time and helped raise me and my sisters. My grandmother as well, Fatima, you know how that bond is, my mother, of course, and my auntie. These 3 women have helped make me and nurture me into the woman that I am today. Thank you.
Thank you both. Thank you both. Fatima, I love the pocket story. And I think about my jeans and other pants that I wear, and they don't have pockets. This dress doesn't have pockets. Yeah, I feel so. Yeah, I see the pain. And Jouhayna, your public speaking always really makes me laugh because for me, watching now, I would never ever guess that public speaking isn't your forte, isn't one of your best strengths. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so next question. This year, we're celebrating Year of the 50th. The UAE has policies and initiatives to protect women and promote gender equality. His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi and Deputy Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces, has said, women have surpassed the stage of being contributors to the nation's development. They've made their way to achievers who elevate the rank of the nation. Earlier this year, we saw the new movement and initiative that all UAE listed companies have to have a female board director, which is incredible, and as it should be. So how do you feel about the progress made so far, and what are your hopes for the next 50 years?
Thank you, Samantha. So the UAE has this wonderful feeling of basically anything is possible. The only other place I've seen this was at Harvard. People would talk about inventions they were building, companies they were starting. And it really felt like that vibe is very similar to the UAE vibe. We're the country that built the tallest tower in the world. We're the country that built a sustainable city in the middle of the desert. We do it all. And if you can dream it, you can be it. We continue to break records. We're a multicultural melting pot of a nation. You meet people from everywhere, every language. I'm so excited for the future because we're all a part of it. It can be whatever we imagine. We all have to work towards it though. So we've come so far in only 50 years, and we're a nation that welcomes change. So I think we're going to definitely break more barriers and do the incredible.
So how I feel about the progress made so far in the last half century is I feel an immense amount of pride. I'm so proud to be a part of this country and to be from here. And my hopes are that we continue to grow and progress as a nation, of course, with the momentum we've had for the last century, and to just keep going. And I also feel it is absolutely incredible that we're actually regulating and adding laws to protect this generation of women and the women to come. Fatima, did you play a part in this? Not sure, but it's probably your vibe. And also my hope for the next 50 years is let's decide what we want and actually go for it. Just go for it. Thank you.
Amazing, thank you both. Okay, we've actually come to our last question already, but I think it's really important actually to finish here now to speak to our audience, no matter what age, background, nationality, gender they have today, okay? So what advice would you give to your younger selves? And actually, do you have any words of wisdom to our audience today?
So I think for me, when I was growing up, I was very assertive. I had a lot of ambition. And I was told repeatedly not to be that way. You shouldn't. It's unladylike. What are you doing? What are you thinking? And I think when you're a man and you have these qualities, you're called a leader. But when you're a woman and you have these qualities, you're called the B word, bossy. That's of course what I meant. So oftentimes I would look around the room and I would notice that nobody else looks like me. There either was no woman, no Emirati, and I would wonder, do I belong here? But I've realized over the years that definitely, if you're the only one of you in that room, you definitely belong. Studies show that having women and having diversity in boardrooms and in companies leads to success. So we should listen to these studies, and the UAE definitely has. So I also think it's important to find a mentor early. When I just started working, I was lucky to have one of the best bosses of my career. And I wasn't going to apply to Harvard. I thought it was a school for geniuses. I don't belong there. Why even try? And I remember he locked me in his office and he said, you're going to apply whether you like it or not. And I did, and I got in. And that's why I'm the first Emirati woman to go to Harvard Law School, because someone else believed in me, because I had a mentor. So make sure you surround yourself with professional mentors, personal mentors. Ask for help. It's okay. As women, we often don't ask for help, but it's okay to do so. So I also wanted to talk about the fact that our confidence sometimes is the reason, for lack thereof, of not asking for help. But according to Eleanor Roosevelt, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. So in the 1920s, Harvard Law School finally started admitting women to Harvard. They used to go to Radcliffe College. So imagine taking the exact same classes as the men, because the professors would teach at Harvard and then go to Radcliffe and teach the exact same thing. And then in the 1920s, finally, women were allowed to go to Harvard Law School. They weren't allowed to ask questions. The professors would ignore them. It was a very different place. I remembered one day where people were running around and were calling me. And I thought, what's going on? It's another weird tradition at Harvard. What's happening? And there were so many traditions, but this one stuck with me. And they said, come, we're going to the steps. We have to go to the staircase. And I just went along. And I was thinking, what's going on? Why are we going to the staircase? So on this big wooden staircase at Harvard Law School, I saw women pouring apple juice. And I thought, okay, this is a weird tradition. I'm not sure what's going on here. And I asked, what happened? And they told me that in 1973, so imagine 53 years, the women did not have bathrooms from the 1920s to 1973. The women were allowed to attend but they were unwelcome. They didn't get a bathroom. They didn't get, but previously they didn't even get the degree. And they weren't even allowed to ask questions at the beginning. They would be completely ignored. So you have a right to be there wherever you are. And they protested. And until this very day, there's a tradition, at least it's apple juice, to pour them on the steps. So I think defiance isn't always a negative thing. I think sometimes it's the beginning of change. Over to you, Jouhayna.
I love that. I'm never gonna see apple juice the same way again.
And ruined it.
Not like it didn't ruin it. Well, it depends on who you ask. But
sure, it's not good for you.
So when it comes to the advice that I'd give my younger self, is to just be yourself, be kinder to yourself, love yourself, and appreciate your unique qualities. I'm mixed race, and I was always told I look a little different. And even inside, I had two different sides and two different ways I was being raised as well, even though it was the same household. So internally and externally, you have these unique qualities. And the way you think, the way you approach things, your very extra personality. Yeah, don't suppress it. Don't dull your shine to make other people comfortable, okay? Don't. So that is what I would love to tell little Jouhayna, don't dull your shine. Thank you.
Oh, that's amazing, guys. I don't think I'm ever going to drink apple juice again, so thanks for that. That's not... Oh, I do love it. So I've seen on my screen popping up as we've been speaking, we have had some questions through from our audience. So I'm just going to turn off my camera now so I can access them for you. Okay. So Abir, thank you so much for sending through your question. And the question, Fatima and Jouhayna, is, what are the challenges that both of you face, if there are, in inverted commas, at work life, and your face challenges with positive and smart actions? Oh, and how you face challenges with positive and smart actions. So challenges and how you face them.
Fatima, do you want to take lead in the question and I'll do mine?
Sure. So, I mean, I face challenges all the time. I'm a lawyer, so every day is a struggle with, no, we can't do this, and then figuring out, okay, how can I do this? So I'll give you one example. When I turned 18, I found out that I couldn't drive without my dad's signature. So I went to him and I told him, this was 2 days before my birthday, my 18th birthday, and it was end of the year. My birthday is in June. And I said, look, you can either sign here, or I'm going to Sharjah and doing it where I don't need your signature. Like, so that didn't go down very well. So I would recommend maybe being a bit more diplomatic, but there's always a way, no matter what that obstacle is. And sometimes that obstacle is mental. Sometimes you think, oh, I could never do that, but you can, and you will. And where there's a will, there's a way. So whatever that is, ask for help, ask the right people, find a mentor, and believe in yourself. Just because someone told you that you can't do it, doesn't mean you can't. You can do anything. That's my advice.
I completely agree with you, Fatima. It's so true. And I feel that sometimes when people, it wouldn't have been easy. Fatima, you've dealt with obstacles. I feel like any woman, even men, actually, I work in a male-dominated field, and I've heard quite a few men that have also dealt with obstacles. So my advice is generic, and this is for everybody that's listening. People are going to act out in any way that they want, yeah? But you have full control over your reaction. You can process your feelings and say, oh, actually, that hurt me, or oh, actually, I don't even care. And how you react to them is entirely in your hands, and you have that power. So reclaim your power and set the tone of how people are going to approach you in the future. And depending on your reaction, if they're smart enough, they will know either to leave you alone or to continue poking. So it is in your full control to decide how people are going to handle you in the future. The first time, if they want to come and poke the bear, it's fine, but you decide if you want to take the high road, and I definitely recommend the high road. It's not worth it. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you both. Okay, the questions are coming in thick and fast, albeit a lot are confidential. The next question we have is, what does it mean to you being an Emirati woman? Fatima, I can't quite hear.
I'm on mute. This always happens. This is like 1 year and a half of Zoom and I still do this. So I think being an Emirati woman can mean a lot of different things. And I think we can't stereotype us or anyone else. People will always try to put you in a box where you don't belong. You're so much more. You are, you have your own hobbies. You are unique. As Jill said, be true to yourself. There is no need to hide and be something that you're simply not, or to force yourself to be this cookie cutter person. Because if we were all the same, life would be so boring. And that's really what I like about Jouhayna, that she's so different from anyone I've ever met. And also, if you don't look like you think an Emirati woman looks, that's also okay. So growing up, I'm also mixed. And I was told a lot that you don't belong. You're not one of us. You're not pure enough. It kind of felt like Harry Potter. Am I a muggle or something? And I realized that you do belong. You have a right to be here. You have a right to take up space. And that's basically my advice.
So what it means to me to be an Emirati woman, honestly, there's a lot. And in order for me to narrow it down for this question is, yet again, I'll say I feel a lot of pride. And, in the UAE, I was born, I was raised here as well. And, it's a melting pot, and it has become increasingly inclusive in the last 50 years. And I remember for as long as I can, from the time I was a child, I'd constantly hear it's a melting pot. There's so many people, so many backgrounds, so many nationalities. I am part of a beautiful mix as well. So I feel that the numbers speak for themselves. At the moment, I feel I've researched actually, we have 200 nationalities in the United Arab Emirates alone. And the numbers speak for themselves. I'm proud to be part of such an inclusive society. That is all. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Jouhayna and Fatima. Okay, we have had a question, and I'm really interested to hear the answer here actually, about maintaining your work-life balance and what you guys get up to in your spare time.
Oh, I like this question. So I didn't have a lot of free time growing up. I thought that was for the weak. And I studied a lot. I worked a lot. I miss birthday parties. I miss, having true connecting, true and deep friendships, because I was busy doing the New York bar, studying, working, and I never gave time for play. And COVID forced me to slow down. COVID was like, stop, literally lockdown. And I reassessed my life. And I think it's important that you realize you're more than just an employee. You're more than just, the citizen or the nationality that you come from. You are so much more. You're an individual, and you need to address each of those things. You have your spirituality, you have your health, you have your social part, and you need to make sure that your company doesn't just see you as an employee. I think work-life balance is very, very important. And in today's world where it's very mixed in the UAE, right? We have Americans who basically live to work. And I've worked with Americans, and that was the expectation. And then you have maybe in Europe where you work to live. And it would be nice to have a little bit of both, to have a nice, healthy moderation. And I think that's the case in the UAE. I think we definitely look at people as a wholesome. And if that's not the case for you, you should demand it. You should ask for it, because you deserve to be happy, and you deserve to take advantage of all the opportunities that are in front of you.
Thank you. So work-life balance, I agree, it is extremely important. I do air traffic control, and it is known to be one of the most stressful jobs in the world. And it is. And that is why they have regulations in order to protect us. So for every 2 days you go to work, you have 1 day off. So the way my roster works personally is I work 6 days of work and then 4 days off. And before COVID, I was out of here. Like I finished a night shift and I would drive to the airport, leave my car, and I would choose a destination and just go. And that's what I did. And I balanced it out. I'd come back the day before my morning shifts would resume again. And I loved doing that. And when I would travel, I loved renting out a quad bike and just exploring different countries. And that was my favorite thing, just that freedom of being on a motorcycle. Unfortunately, you can't get a quad bike and do that in the UAE. So I decided to learn new hobbies and figure out different things that I can do in the UAE since I haven't been able to travel as much anymore. So I'm learning how to do my motorcycle license, and I bought the motorcycle before I got the license. So I really need to make sure I follow through on this one. And I want to ride this motorcycle and explore the UAE from a completely different perspective. And also I took up horse riding again. I used to do that as a child. My mom signed me up for so many activities. So work-life balance was instilled in me from a very young age. I'd go to school, come home, do ballet. So that was instilled in me from a very young age. So I went back to horse riding recently. I love it. It's too hot right now. So I go really early in the morning. And yeah, there's just so much you can do in the UAE. And that's what I've learned during this pandemic, whether you want to jump out of an airplane for a skydive just for fun, or you want to go sit on a beach and read a beautiful book. So that's what I do. Thank you.
Yeah, you're so right. And I'm still exploring or trying to explore as much the UAE. But obviously being English, I'm definitely suffering in this 50-degree August weather. Thank God for aircon.
I was raised here, and you don't get used to it. You don't.
Okay. No. I won't apply then. Okay, we've had another anonymous question come through. What mental health practices have helped you during your journey, and how has your culture impacted this? It's an interesting one.
So I think mental health is so important, and the UAE is really prioritizing it. During lockdown, we started a hotline. We had people manning this hotline, and they were volunteering. So they basically, you would call, and it's, people were really depressed. People are still depressed. The pandemic is still going on. So there's nothing wrong, first of all, with addressing it, with admitting it, with saying, I have a problem. First, you have to take that in. Second of all, get help. So help comes in many forms. Call your insurance. So many people have come forward and said, I don't think I have insurance. Did you try? Did you call? Did you pick up the phone? There's a new law that came out that everyone is going to have mental health insurance, and it's in the process. So I look forward to everyone being able to work on themselves and to better themselves. A toxic workplace can be the end of you. If you feel like your workplace makes you unhappy, or your surroundings, your friends, your family even, and they're dragging you down rather than lifting you up, there is a problem. I think for my mental health practices, I'm okay letting people go, and I have to be. And I surround myself with positive people. That's how I met Joe. So I think if you want to get better, you can. But if you want to dwindle in that circle, and you want to stay in that toxic environment, and you want to keep repeating the same patterns, then you will do that. So I think, you need to want a way out, because there is a way, but you need to want it first.
I completely agree with Fatima. You have to want it in order to actually do anything about it. And this doesn't just apply for mental health, but anything you want to do in life. Mental health, well, as you all know, I have a very stressful job. So I had to figure out what would be my release when I left work. Thankfully, with this kind of job, the minute you take your headset off, that's it. You don't think about it. But you've gone through a shift, which can be fairly stressful. I work out. I sometimes injure myself. So when I can't keep up with that, I draw. this is one of my pieces. So whenever I can't physically move around, I will create art. I love my dogs. I have so many plants, and that I collected them all during COVID, and they're a lot of maintenance. So just being, that's why my nails, Fatima was showing me her nails, are just like, oh, look, I got them done. I'm like, I can't, I'm in dirt all the time, growing different plants in my garden, indoor plants all over the place. I had a herb patch, but the puppy ruined it. So even my dogs, these are all different things that I do in order to work on my mental health. And Fatima and I actually, after we connected, we both have a passion to help people. It just comes from us naturally. And we work together with a nonprofit organization that's based in the UAE to connect people with mental health professionals at an affordable rate, because I looked it up before just out of curiosity, and it's so expensive. And I'm really grateful to have connected with the founder of the organization and be able to actually direct people there and help them. And all because you're reaching out for help doesn't mean that you're any less, because in the UAE, I feel with the way that I grew up, it's very taboo to be in touch with your feelings. And you need to know that it's not. And we've all gone through a pandemic now, and I know that people are going to be pretty mentally fragile. So when you are ready, and that's very important, when you are ready, reach out. You will be able to connect with Fatima and I as well. If you ever need somebody to talk to, for us to connect you with somebody professionally, just reach out. It's as simple as that. We're here.
Thank you both again. Again, I can see the messages popping up at the bottom in our chat conversation with people wanting to connect. So I'm glad we've been able to, facilitate that today, and I hope you guys do connect. Okay, we have had some more questions come through. So what I'm thinking is one more, and then what we can do is follow up with all of the questions that we have left over at the end, either in the chat box, or we can reach out individually to answer, because I have one directly for Jouhayna, I have one directly for Fatima. So I think it'd probably be best to do that if you guys are happy. But I think the last question, I'm excited to hear your answer for this one, because I feel like it's going to be two power answers. Okay, will we see Emirati women heading organizations in CEO positions?
Is this mine or Jouhayna's?
To both of you.
Okay, this is for both. Okay, so yes, I mean, of course, I think so. We're getting there, and I think it's important. A lot of people were telling me, "Oh, you only made it because now they're promoting women, they're choosing women. That's why." No, I'm smart. I deserved it. I didn't just get it the easy way. I worked 10 times harder than you. So when I started working as well, I suffered from the label of lazy Emirati. And I was told those words a lot. Oh, you speak English? Yes, I speak 4 languages and I'm learning Spanish. How many do you speak? So I remembered, it sounds stuck up, and it sounds like, oh, she's snooty. But no, you need to own your talent, because people will try to put you down. As I said, people will try to figure you out in your little square box, and you're not a square at all. You're a squiggle, you're a star, you're whatever you want. So I think from my perspective, we're asking for equal rights now, but we're outperforming the boys. I'm not worried about the girls. I have a school teacher next to me. How do you feel about the girl classrooms and the boy classrooms?
By far, they're outperforming. The girls are by far outperforming the guys.
So my hair is up, so I can't flick it. But we are doing so well, and our literacy rate is higher. We're going to work. We're thriving. I think it's time for the boys to get, some like opportunities as well, because they're focusing on us. So I'm a big feminist, and I think equal opportunity for all, regardless of your gender. So I'm not worried about the future of women. I think they should be worried.
I love it. I love that your friend is also there. Coach, she's explaining everything. And you have a live example of how the young girls are doing very well. So great facts. I think that in the future, of course, but also presently, in the past, my mom ran her own veterinary clinic, and it was female owned. and she did everything there. She had her assistant, Maggie. She was a vibe. She was amazing. She was like my other grandmother. I was surrounded by so many strong women. So I don't even have to go that far. My mom ran her own business until she chose to retire recently. We're currently working on starting a new one. So you know what? Inshallah, in a few months, I'll be CEO of my own company, which I'm working on. Stay tuned. You'll find out more soon. So it's not about in the future. We already have achieved that, and we are definitely going to continue to do that. Thank you.
Two amazing power answers there to finish up on, which is quite actually really ended really well. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, we have had a few more questions come through. I think the ones that are left are for either Jouhayna specifically or Fatima specifically. So what I'll do is I'll just connect the people that have asked those questions with you both, and then they can be answered from there on in. I don't want anyone to feel left out or missed out. Okay, so we have come to the end of our webinar. It's flown by, actually, it really has. I really want to thank the audience, firstly, for getting involved. I really hope you've taken something from today. I think it's hard not to, from the two powerhouses that we have with us today. You know, I think Emirati Women's Day, and this has been covered, is about celebrating, and it's also about acknowledging, you know, the struggles and the hard work that Emirati women have put in to getting to where we are today. And these two ladies that we have here are just two prime examples for me, the epitome of why I wanted to hold and why we should celebrate actually Emirati Women's Day. So thank you, audience. Thank you to Fatima and Jouhayna. As I said, I know you both have super busy schedules. So I'm really grateful for you guys. Given me the time today. It's been a pleasure getting to know you both. We have had some laughs along the way. So yeah, thank you so much. The next slide that you guys will see will have QR codes. And then what we've wanted to do is send those to you now so you can scan them directly on your phone. And then what it will do is take you directly to each of our LinkedIn profiles. So there's one for Fatima, there's one for Jouhayna, and one for myself. So we'll put that, it will come up on the screen now, and we'll put it in the chat box as well, just in case some are on their phones now and unable to scan. So don't worry, we will send it out to you as well. But yeah, please do connect with each of us. We're all really excited and actually really happy, you know, for people to get in touch following this webinar today. So thank you, audience. Thank you to my amazing guest speakers. So inspirational, so inspirational. And I just want to wish everyone a very happy Emirati Women's Day for Saturday.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you, Jill. Thank you, Samantha. Great job. Bye. Happy Emirati Women's Day.
Happy Emirati Women's Day.
Thanks both. Thanks all. Bye.